story of NASHUANA Johnson in a fatal car crash that killed 4 young adults and where she miraculously lived. I came across this video on TikTok, and I love crime, murder, court TV, cop shows, so as soon as I saw this video, I was intrigued. I wanted to know more about the case. NASHUANA is heavily on social media. She was doing like challenges and lip syncs and dances and the usual TikTok videos that you see on your For You page. Because of her appearance, a lot of people was wondering what happened to her because she's heavily burnt. And that's usually the case with burn victims. People usually are like, oh my God, like what happened? So she decided to make a TikTok video addressing these questions. In the TikTok video, I'm gonna post a clip, not a clip, but just a screenshot right there. She describes a series of events that happened prior to the fatal car crash. She explains that on Tuesday, June 9th, she was working at Amazon. And this is on the same day that New Jersey lifted the lockdown. She picked up her boyfriend because her and her boyfriend decided that they were going to go to Point Pleasant Beach. She went with some of her friends, but her and her boyfriend, they rode in a separate car. So they got there, they're having fun. When everybody was about to leave, she spotted some friends from high school. NASHUANA is 19 at this time, and she, I believe, is out of high school. She spotted some of her friends, and then she decided to chit chat and talk to them. Her friends had called an Uber, but then the Uber canceled on them, and the person who called their Uber's phone died, so they didn't really have a way of getting home. They asked NASHUANA if they could ride back with her. Of course, she said yes. So they stopped to get food on their way home, and they was vibing, dancing. You know how it is if you see your friends from a long time, especially after the lockdown was lifted, how everybody's mindset was. So everybody was just having fun. There were a total of 5 people in the car. Aside from NASHUANA, there was 2 other females, Asante and Taylor, one guy friend, Kamal Johnson, and her boyfriend, Nashawn Brooks. The next thing NASHUANA remembers is waking up in August, 2 months after the accident. NASHUANA suffered from 60% of burns on her body, a collapsed lung, a few broken ribs. Only 15% of people survive from these type of injuries. A week after she woke up, she started relearning how to walk and her physical therapy. And after she was coherent in the right mind, her parents decided to tell her 2 things. That 1, all her friends had passed on, and 2, not everyone was happy that she was alive. So being the sleuth that I am, I'm like, I gotta look into this. Like, I need to know more about this, because one thing I know about cases, anything involving crime, whatever, there's always more to the story, and I just love figuring out the whole story. So I found a couple of articles regarding the incident, and I learned that she was charged with 4 counts of murder. So immediately I'm taken aback because I'm like, what? Why is she charged with 4 counts of murder? This woman is a victim, and I'm assuming that this fatal car crash was an accident. I figured that the accident was caused by either her texting or, you know, maybe something happened with the car. I didn't think she was drinking because she's under 21. It's not impossible, but I'm like, nah, like she wasn't drinking. Like it had to have been distraction or something wrong with the car. In the articles, I learned that 3 people were ejected from the car and 2 victims were badly burned. So allegedly, one of the male's NASHUANA boyfriend was coherent after the accident, and he actually told somebody to call his mother. He died shortly after in the hospital the next day at 12 p.m. noon. 19-year-old Taylor Hill and 18-year-old Kamal Johnson were pronounced dead at the scene. Asante and NASHUANA both suffered from life-threatening injuries, but Asante died a month later on July 10th. Now, this may sound like an open and shut case, but after the TikTok video went viral earlier this year, NASHUANA was also indicted by the grand jury with 4 counts of vehicular homicide. There was a lot of speculation around the case and what happened. NASHUANA and the news articles, they painted a certain narrative, and many people weren't happy about that. Even on TikTok, people were in the comments suggesting that she was mad at one of the girls. She allegedly sent a text saying she wanted to fight one of the girls in the car and saying how she'll crash this car right now. People were claiming that one of the girls slept with NASHUANA's boyfriend. I personally never believed this was true. That person would have to been in the car to know that this was going down, And I think it's really messed up to start rumors and assassinate someone's character, especially when they're not there to defend themselves. So when I saw that in the comments, I immediately was like, yeah, no, like that's not right. All the original articles that happened when the car crash occurred on June 9th, they all said that speeding, drinking, and drugs was a non-factor. So the logical question is, so how did this car crash happen? How did this car accident kill all these people? From my understanding, when cases like this happen, news publications, they want to be the first one to grab the story. The same way how TMZ is always the first, or usually the first, to report when a celebrity dies. Like, that's gonna give TMZ major hits. Everybody's gonna be clicking on that page. So I figured they wanted to be the first one to grab the story. But since they were the first one to grab the story, they spread a lot of misinformation. The case was transferred over to a new prosecutor that has been collecting evidence since June of 2020. They deemed that drag racing and speeding was a factor. NASHUANA was driving at 93 miles per hour at the time of the crash. The road that she was driving on, the speed limit is 45 miles per hour. NASHUANA was driving 93 miles per hour. I just want y'all to know how fast that is. Like, that is so fast. Drag racing is a huge issue in New Jersey, especially in Newark. And Route 22, the road that she was driving on, is known to be very dangerous. Newark natives, they've been posting comments in regards to this accident and making comments about Route 22, and they said that it needed to be fixed for years, and it just hasn't happened. NASHUANA apparently lost control of the vehicle, which crashed and burst into flames in the eastbound lanes near Hillside border. During a preliminary investigation, it was determined that there was a guardrail penetrating the bumper and the car's frame upon impact, severing the car's fuel line and causing it to explode. So when I hear that, it lets me know, I take everything into account. Route 22 is dangerous, the speed that she was going at, and the guardrail. So I surmise that she's driving so fast, the road is not safe, it's not smooth. She loses control of the car, and then her car crashes into the guardrail, and because she's going so fast, she probably can't really stop, and it just literally slices through the car, severs the fuel line, and the car explodes. That's how I understand it with my limited information about cars. In March of 2021, families and friends of the deceased decided to take to social media to spread the truth about what really happened. I'll include some screenshots over here or whatever. But ultimately, they said that speed was a factor and the truth will come to light. So there was a witness and a close friend that was around before the events happened. And remember, everybody, NASHUANA and her friends, they all went to Point Pleasant Beach. I'm sure it was like a group thing. A bunch of kids was going there. So I'm sure there was a bunch of people that knew them. His name is Elton Jean Baptiste, and he basically stated that when he was driving, they were 3 cars ahead of them. NASHUANA and company were 3 cars ahead of them. So he said in his mind, oh, the race is over, indicating that they were racing prior to this point. They started to slow down, so he thought the race was over. He decided to get off the road, get off the highway, and exit and go home with whoever he went home with. And he assumed they was going home too. He tried to call NASHUANA and Kayshawn later, but they didn't answer. But he thought that their phone was dead. He didn't think too much of it. He went to sleep, woke up, and received a bunch of texts. He saw on his phone there was a bunch of texts regarding the accident and stating that there had been a terrible accident. And his heart is just broken, and he was just lost for words. After the TikTok went viral, NASHUANA gained a lot of support from her followers and her supporters. She even set up a GoFundMe for legal fees and raised over $14,000. She originally set the amount at $14K, but then she raised it to $50K. People were tagging major Instagram blogs like The Shade Room, Hollywood Unlocked, Boil Alert, and celebrities to bring awareness to this story, because a lot of people felt like this woman, this victim, is being charged with 4 counts of vehicular homicide. That's wrong. But some people were not too convinced of NASHUANA's story. Some people thought that the crash was completely preventable, that if she wasn't drag racing and driving at 93 miles per hour, all of those people would have been alive. They also didn't like the way that she was behaving on social media. Like I stated earlier, she was posting online heavily and having a lot of fun. I understand how social media works. You know, I've been on social media ever since I was a kid, and social media provides escapism for a lot of people. It's very distracting, it can be fun, and it's a way for you to relieve stress. But in my opinion, it really wasn't the best look to be hopping around, laughing and dancing when you're the reason that these poor people have passed on. Everyone grieves differently, but it could be perceived as disrespectful, especially to the families and friends of the deceased. Now back to her painting a narrative, like I said earlier. If you guys actually watched the TikTok video or you listen to my summary, NASHUANA made it seem like the car crash was an accident. She basically told the story up until a point, and then she told the story from the next point that she remembered, which is waking up in the hospital. She also made other videos answering people's questions, and people asked if she heard from the families, had they reached out to her, and she actually said no, and she used some emojis, which is the straight face and like the side-eye face, indicating that she probably was upset the fact that the families didn't reach out to her. NASHUANA was painting a narrative that like she was like the innocent party of this, like, you know, she was a victim, which she was, but she left out the fact that she was reckless driving. Because of the amount of eyewitnesses there, I'm sure that her family and the families of the deceased knew that drag racing was going on. Remember, we got that statement from Elton John Baptiste, and he said, oh, the race was over. And there was a bunch of cars over there too. There was a bunch of people at the beach, and there was a bunch of people leaving probably around the same time. So I'm sure other people knew, and I'm sure other people said, oh yeah, they were racing. In my humble opinion, it's pretty messed up to paint the picture like you're the victim and kind of like you did nothing wrong when your reckless driving made 4 young people lose their lives and make a family have to suffer a loss. So a couple of months later, NASHUANA was arrested. And I want to give a trigger warning because I'm going to post her mugshot, but because of her burns, this can be triggering to some people. So if you want, you can skip past this point, but I'm going to include her mugshots. Like I said before, she was charged with quadruple vehicular homicide. She had a hearing and they basically released her on bail. She hasn't posted since her court date, and I honestly think that is best to show respect not only for herself but also for the families of the deceased. I hope to get more updates on this case soon. Honestly, that's the last bit of information that is available to the public. I hope I'm able to view the hearing for this case the same way that I was able to view the hearing for the bail hearing. So my final thoughts about this incident is I definitely think that she is a victim, and I think that it's a horrible accident, and I think that she is suffering a lot. Now, do I think that she should go to jail? Do I think that she should suffer the consequences of her actions? Of course, I do think she should suffer the consequences. There has to be some sort of effect after what she caused. Something has to happen. Justice has to be served in some way. Because of the extent of her injuries, the prison system is not going to be able to provide her with the care that she needs. Hence the reason why her bail was approved and she was able to stay out of jail. The prison system is not going to be able to take her to doctor's appointments, give her physical therapy, etc. So if she wants to have a quality of life or live, she's going to need the physical therapy. And it wouldn't be fair to put her in jail at this point, but I definitely think that 4 counts of murder, it's kind of hard for anyone to say no, like she should get off. It's a very tricky case, and it's a case that kind of pulls you in either direction because you don't know whether to say she should be in prison for life or no, she should stay home, she's the victim too. I really want to hear more facts about this case so I could really get a bigger picture of what happened. I want to hear more from the victims of the families. Like, I really want to know what they think, and I just want to know everything that happened. I also want to know you guys' thoughts. If you guys heard about this case, I want to know initially, what was your reaction? Do you think that NASHUANA Johnson should go to prison for this? Do you think that maybe she should get on house arrest? Like, what type of charge do you think she should get for this crime that she committed? Or if you don't agree that she should go to prison, like, just put down your thoughts in the comments. If you heard about this story before, or if this is your first time hearing about this story, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I definitely want to do more videos about this because, like I said, I love crime. Like, I sit up and I learn about murders and investigations. I watch documentaries about it all the time. So I really want to know if you guys like these type of videos and if you want more videos like this. If you do, like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you guys next time.